The man who takes the final bow in the Prestige is 1 day old, or he is 100 performances old, and the thing floating in the water tank was never really him. The film closes on rows of glass, each one holding a drowned man in a black suit, and declines to say which of them counts as Robert Angier. That silence is not the film running out of answers. It is the last move in a trick it has been working on you since the opening line. Read it one way, and you watched a man kill his rival and win. Read it the other, and you watched a corpse take a bow. Look at what the ending actually puts on screen. Angier is on a warehouse floor shot, with Borden standing over him. He speaks about the faces in the audience, the second where someone who stopped believing in anything gets to be a child again. Behind him, the tanks stand in rows, and every one of them is full. The same man, the same suit, hands pressed to glass that would not open. A lamp goes over, fire takes the room, and the film cuts away. So, which man just died? The two answers are not small variations on each other. In the first, Tesla's machine moves Angier through space and leaves a duplicate behind, which drowns. Under that reading, Angier is one continuous person from beginning to end, and he has committed 100 murders of a man identical to himself. In the second, the machine copies him and leaves the original standing exactly where he stood, over the trapdoor, over the water. Under that reading, the Angier who existed before the first performance died at the first performance. Every man who bowed after that was hours old, wearing another man's memories and finishing another man's revenge. The film shows enough to make both sound reasonable. It also shows one thing that only fits one of them. Go back to Colorado. Tesla tests the machine on Angier's hat. The hat is placed on the platform. The current runs. Angier looks at the platform and the hat is still sitting there, unmoved, and only later does he find the second hat lying in the snow, some distance out in the field. When he comes back, the field is full of hats. Not one hat that traveled. Dozens that were made. The cat does the same thing. It appears out in the yard, alive, while the first cat sits by the machine, also alive. Tesla tells him plainly that the machine does not do the thing he asked for, that its results are their own kind of curse, and that the sane response is to destroy it. Angier's reaction to that field is the detail worth slowing down for. He treats it as debris, a mess to be cleared before anyone sees. What he is standing in is a graveyard of himself, and he reads it as housekeeping. Now put that geometry on a stage and watch what the paying audience sees. Angier steps up onto the platform. The machine fires. He appears at the back of the theater in the balcony, a full room away. The same distance the hats traveled, the same distance the cat traveled. And the platform he stepped onto stands directly above a trapdoor. And under that trapdoor sits a locked tank of water. The hat did not move. Something new appeared at a distance. Follow that rule and the stage arrangement stops being ambiguous. The man in the balcony is the new one, and the man who stays standing on the platform is the one who was already there. And he goes straight down into the water. Angier built a machine that puts a stranger in the balcony every night and drowns him for it. The film has been telling you how to watch it from the start. Cutter lays out the three parts of a trick. You show the audience something ordinary, you make it do something impossible, and then, the part everyone forgets, you bring it back. Without the return, there is no trick. Cutter also tells a story about a sailor who nearly drowned, who said it was like going home. Late in the film, he takes it back. He admits he made that up, and that drowning is agony. That correction lands almost exactly when the tanks come into view. The film withdrawing the comfort it offered you an hour earlier, at the moment you need it most. Here is what Angier was actually paying. If the machine makes a copy and leaves the original in place, then Angier did not survive 100 performances. He survived none of them. The man who walked off stage on the second night had never buried Julia. He had a perfect memory of standing in that theater watching the water, and no lived hour behind it. He inherited a wife he never met, a grief he never felt, and a hatred that arrived fully formed. Everything after the first performance, the ruin of Borden, the false testimony, the taking of a child, was carried out by men who had been alive for a matter of hours, executing the will of a dead man. That is the trick the film performs on the audience, not on Borden. It hands you a protagonist and then removes him so quietly that you keep following the replacement. Read the final scene under it. Angier, dying, tells Borden that he did the hard part. that it took nerve to climb into that box every night not knowing which man he would be. He is not describing bravery. He is describing a man who understood the mechanism perfectly and chose to keep feeding it. And his last speech about the audience's faces is the confession. He traded his continuous existence for a second of wonder in a room full of strangers, and he considered the exchange fair. There is a serious case for the other reading, and it deserves better than a shrug. It goes like this. Angier speaks about the tank with the dread of a man who remembers it, night after night, and writes his journals as a single ongoing self. That sounds like continuity, one person accumulating 100 bad nights. Under this version, he survives throughout, and his crime is drowning a duplicate rather than dying himself. What it cannot account for is the hat in the snow. A machine that transports would leave the platform empty, and Angier's platform is never empty. That is the entire reason the trapdoor and the tank exist. You do not need to drown anything if the original left. Tesla never describes a device that moves things. He describes one whose output he calls a curse and tells Angier to burn. The evidence sits with duplication. The dread is real either way. A copy an hour old remembers the water as vividly as the original would, which is exactly what makes it unbearable. So the ending means this. Borden gave up half of every day for his trick and got to keep a life, split in two, with someone left standing at the end of it. Angier gave up all of it, over and over, and what remained was a room of glass boxes and a man on the floor who had existed since that evening. The prestige is the part where you bring it back. Angier could never bring himself back. He only ever produced someone new and called it the same thing. And if a single person in that theater had been told what the applause was actually buying, would any of them have wanted to know? That is why the film still works decades on. It runs its own three parts on the viewer. Two rival magicians, one of them made to vanish, and something brought back that looks close enough that you never call it. The strange part is not that the trick fools you. It is how willing you are to stay fooled, because the alternative means admitting that the man you followed for 2 hours stopped existing in the first act of his own triumph. If you'd watch the whole thing again just for that ending, subscribe. There's another film waiting to be rewritten.